What's up, JJK community? Today we are going to discuss the singular thing, the most underrated aspect that differentiates Sukuna from every other Jujutsu character, including Satoru Gojo. Let's go.
の俺なら領域展開福間水氏
For those who haven't figured it out yet, we'll be talking about binding vows. Binding vows are basically contracts made with curse energy. It can either be made between two individuals or with yourself. Binding vows between two individuals are like normal contracts with terms and conditions, and breaking them leads to severe punishment. But binding vows with yourself are a bit tricky because most of the times it entails sacrificing something you possess or an ability you have to achieve a specific goal, kind of like an equal exchange scenario which we see in Full Metal Alchemist and other series like that. A good example of this equivalent exchange type of binding vow is Hakari sacrificing his left arm to increase the reinforcement in the other part of his body, which helped him survive Kashimo's last attack. But what distinguishes Sukuna from characters like Hakari or Miwa who use self-imposed binding vow is how Sukuna specifically uses binding vows to his advantage and the specific terms and conditions he uses to always minimize the effects of the binding vows.
福間水氏
Firstly, we have Sukuna's domain expansion. Sukuna is the only character in the series with a built-in binding vow in his domain expansion. The conditions for the binding vow can be boiled down to having a greater domain range for allowing a possibility to escape. At the surface level, this looks like a fair trade, as allowing an escape path for your enemies in a domain clash is very risky, and therefore it's totally reasonable to ask for a greater range in compensation for taking such a risk. But in Sukuna's case, it is completely different, as the only reason it is even possible to escape his domain in the first place is due to his barrier being open, and we have already seen how overpowered this type of domains are in domain clashes. Therefore, by seemingly making a fair binding vow, Sukuna tricks the power systems to make his domain more deadly than it already is. Secondly, in order to use the wall curtain slash with one hand, no chants and signs, Sukuna has to not only complete hand signs and use chants, but also point at the target for every subsequent use of the slash. In Megumi's body, that was a fair contract, as it's basically impossible for any character with two arms to fulfill all these conditions. But when you take a step back, you now realize that with Sukuna's Heian form, he basically fixes all these problems since he has four arms and two mouths, therefore greatly reducing the effects of the binding vows, again showing how crafty Sukuna is when he makes specific conditions for specific binding vows and always at the end tricks the power system. The last time you have seen Sukuna using binding vows is in the latest chapter, where Sukuna managed to open a malformed malevolent shrine by using binding vows while having his brain completely fried. By the way, this is insane. We don't really know the specifics of this binding vow. People have been speculating that one of the binding vows is being allowed to only use the domain for 99 seconds, but I don't think it's sufficient to allow Sukuna to use a full output domain while having his output in the trash and his brain completely fried. During Sukuna is some really slick condition, like maybe he can't use cleave and dismantle for a whole day, while perfectly knowing that he can now use his fire arrow and other techniques in shrine or in the black box. So we don't really know, but I'm sure it will be something that would turn out at his advantage as always. A honorable mention is the way Sukuna used the binding vow with Yuji and basically tricked Yuji in not including himself in the said binding vow. Everybody knows how that turned out. That's when Sukuna took control of Megumi's bot. Before I end the video, I would like to address something. I've been seeing more and more complaints about Sukuna overutilization of binding vows, and I get it. Even as the best Sukuna glazer and fanboy, I get tired of seeing Sukuna always spamming binding vows. But we shouldn't forget, Jujutsu Sorcery is all about being a con artist, and it makes sense that the best of Jujutsu sorcerers will be a deceiver to the point of even tricking the power system itself. On this note, I wish you all a very good day. Like and subscribe the video if you like it. Peace.